to be seen, you know, especially in a city like Los Angeles where everybody wants to be seen. And for somebody who's, you know, he's lived in LA for however many years, you know, I'm thinking I'd say 10 years and been completely invisible, and he gets the opportunity to be seen, but slowly gives away more of his soul to maintain that. So he gets an opportunity to become part of like the social circle, and he gets an opportunity to be somebody's important person, right? Like this older guy that brings him in, and all everybody that likes this older guy now likes this guy, and friends that he makes, other people like him because he's got great friends, and all of a sudden he's somebody that people like. And so how much would you give up to continue to have that? And he makes one poor choice after another. And overall, I think it's partially a cautionary tale in, if you don't make the choices of your life, other people can make them for you, and it can become dangerous. And so it is a bit of a downward spiral. You know, I compare it a lot to Less Than Zero and Requiem for a Dream. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of that. And there's also just the fact of like, it lives in the LGBT world, but not in a direct way, where it's a world where men and women have sex, and then men and men have sex, and women. The sexual fluidity is so prevalent in Hollywood, and the fact that he is living in this world, and that's the least of all these people's problems. Their problems are drugs, are dealing drugs, or making bad decisions. It's not about a coming out story. It's about it's a world in which nobody is crucified for whatever label they put on themselves, you know, which is the world that we would want to live in. Yeah. But these people's problems that's the least of their problems. Their problems are the society they live in and what they're falling prey to. I don't know, that might seem like a roundabout way of talking about the story in the film, but there's a lot of those elements in there.
Yeah, so as you know, the Tickle.life is more to do with sexuality, you know, and sexuality in any and every way that you can think of. So while you were talking about, you know, the LGBTQ component in the movie, so can we just talk more about it? Like, you know, why is it there in the movie, and what impact did it bring to the entire story? Because at the end of the day, it's not a biography.
It sort of cut out there a little bit, so I didn't hear.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that you did talk about LGBT in the movie, and Tickle.life is talking about sexuality and its impact. And when you're talking about, you know, that it's not about just coming out, but it's about you're just doing it because you have to do it, or, you know, your surrounding expects you to do it. So can we just talk a bit about it more? Like, why is it there, and what impact did the hero have, or the main characters have because of that component?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So one thing that we talked about, and at one point we went through this script and took out every label, right? Like, so nobody says like, I'm gay, or I'm straight, or I'm bi. It was all a sexual fluidity, and the freedom to choose your own partners, regardless of sexuality, is such like an eye-opening, free. It's a sexual fluidity. It's such an open thing in LA that I don't think I and a lot of other people experience where they grow up. So in that way, like, there's a freedom in this story, that it's like the viewers can decide he's gay, you know, but the reality, or he's straight or whatever, but the reality is nobody is defined by who they choose in that moment as their partner. Do you know, like, it's not, nobody's being crucified for it. It's the way that the life is. And that's an interesting way that isn't life kind of, it shouldn't be that way. Like, you don't have to label yourself anything. And what if nobody else did? What if nobody else was like, are you straight? Are you gay? Are you bi? I'm just me. Like, Mark, I might be attracted to this person today and that person tomorrow, and I'm okay with that. So you should be too.
Yeah.
You know, there's a huge freedom in that. And like, oh, it's such a cross to bear when you're younger. Do you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And did this impact the character? Because at the end of the day, you're a writer, and you're like one of the writers of the movie. So this gender fluidity, do you think that it impact the character in some way, or it just, like how did it help the character?
It was part of an eye-opening experience for him. You know, I think that he saw it at first and wasn't sure. Like, is amazing. This just happened right in front of me, and the coolest guy in town that he becomes friends with is completely sexually open. And so because that guy is, then all of a sudden it's like he finds the freedom as well explore both. And in this story, he ends up with a guy. There's another reality where maybe he ends up with a girl, but in this story, in that path this guy chose, it ends up being he ends up in a relationship with a man. I mean, I know a girl who is a great actress, great friend of mine, and her best friend growing up took a total right turn and got married to a woman. And she was like, I gotta ask you, like, did that happen out of nowhere? And she
Yeah.
said, yeah, I married her, but if I ever get divorced, I will date men again. And it's amazing because you're just like, that's it's probably more common than we think, but because it involves us and our own personal self, we
Yeah.
think it's weird. We think we're the only ones that go through that. The reality is we should all be able to choose what partner we want to be with and not have to feel confined to one or another gender specifically, right?
Yeah. Can I get a little
I think
personal?
that's my opinion.
No, absolutely. And like one of the reason why Tickle.life was started, and now that we are working in like 3 different continents, is because of this reason. That we all should have the liberty of accepting our sexuality and being whoever we want to be, even if we want to experiment, even if because what has happened is we've all started living in silos. And when we live in silos, then we become like frustrated because like personally, when I started understanding and I started seeing, so I was in Europe for 2 years, and that, and the environment is so open, especially in Netherlands. It just like plays with your head because you're not able to figure out what's happening. Is it right? Is it wrong? But I've been taught that this is wrong, but how is it working?
It's exactly it. That's the experience. That's my experience. That's this character's experience.
Yeah. And what about your experience, your personal experience? Because you're the writer behind it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these elements are autobiographical. So I had a hard time just coming here from Philadelphia and walking into this world in LA, and especially the entertainment scene where
Yeah.
it's even more open. And a lot of experiences in this story were legitimately my just being like, whoa, like it's like that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem that it's the two, like the circle of friends I was in, 2 guys hook up and like people don't care about that. It's like we kind of need to stop them from like doing too many drugs. It was like more of like it was just fascinating because you think, in another world, people make a big deal out of somebody's sexuality. The sexuality isn't the problem. It's like, dude, you need to stop partying until 6 a.m. And so to me, it was very, very like, and the way the film was shot and the story was told is intentionally slice of life. So I think audiences can draw whatever they want, but one thing it's not preachy. It doesn't preach on it doesn't harp on any strong point of view. It allows you to have whatever reaction you want to have, but it's intentionally slice of life. And I feel like it allows the story and the characters to breathe and be real.
Yeah. So if I put it in what I've understood is it's like an environment, a sexually open, fluid environment that is prevalent many places, and the characters are just working around it. So it's not something out of the books or something which many of us think that whoa, what's happening. It's just a part of life. But what is more
That is
important? Yeah.
that's 100% exactly it. And we're like, it's so refreshing to us. And I think some people aren't getting it. And we're like, the point is that's not their problem. It's an environment that we should all be in, maybe without the drugs, but that openness. I mean, that's how, I mean, yeah, I feel 100% what you just said is it's so accurate.
So maybe it's a movie of future, because in future that's what the expected outcome is, that everybody would be open, everybody would be sexually acceptable to who they are or who they are not.
I mean, that's exactly what we've had that conversation too, where we said, wouldn't it be nice if this was the world that we lived in, where it wasn't a big deal and it
Yeah.
wasn't some terrible, there's a great place and there's a strong reason to have a lot of impactful coming out stories, but that's not the only thing I want to see. And these characters are relatable, and that's not their particular struggle. So to me, it's different, and it's, I feel like this, it doesn't hit you over the head. It's much more slice of life.
So, so can I ask you one thing, that why, because if you're talking about something different, you're talking about, partying, you're talking about some other issues, drugs, why did you try to mix both of them together? Because when you mix them together, at the end of the day, sexuality is something that is highlighted, and that maybe is what people will start talking about, instead of talking about, is he making the right choice?
I think we've lost. Did we
Yeah,
lose connection?
yeah, yeah. I'm back.
Okay.
Yeah. So my question was this: that when you're already talking about different reasons or different things, like drugs, why did you try to bring in sexuality into it? You could have actually left it. Like, these are like two different things when you talk about it, especially in the present scenario when people are still not open, even though this happens, even though there is fluidity in the sexuality environment.
Well, part of it, I think we were talking about it when I had gone through a draft, and we were saying how it's interesting that it's almost something that's not talked about, but it all lives in this world, especially the like darker side of Hollywood. Um, and then also it's not like it's all a negative thing, right? There could be negative stipulations of people trying to take advantage of other people, but at the end of the day, the person who cares for him the most is a guy who's the most open and the most honest person of anybody that he's met. And so it kind of has that presentation in a very, again, not hitting people over the head, but it has that presentation of the sort of love always wins. Love is what's going to save you is kind of the underlying theme. Um, and just in this person's case, we just were like the most honest thing, the most honest portrayal of him finding himself and what he cares about and what's important to him. It's a man, and it's love, and it's probably a little bit out of left field in some ways with the way the film starts, but it's the farthest departure from where he came from that he could get to. I think, and it just also, I don't know, it kind of felt right, because it's also something that there's a dark side to like Hollywood and the entertainment industry that we're looking at,
Mhm.
Not directly, but this is the world that exists in.
Yeah.
And when you pull out on society, it's like, if a love of another human being, regardless of sexuality, is what can pull you out of any problem, then that rises above like this situation that somebody's fallen into, where it's this dark spiral of bad choices. I don't know if that makes
No,
sense.
no, that does make sense. It would not have made sense a few years back, but now it does make sense.
It's
Because
crazy.
yeah, because every day you're meeting like so many different people, people who are practicing different sexualities, and every day, like there's something new that comes up. So yeah, so I'm most of the time like, like this puppy with eyes open, and like my team members, my colleagues, and people that I get to meet, they all keep on sharing so much information. So it's just like everything is possible. So everything makes sense and nothing makes sense, actually.
That's so true.
No, seriously. Like yesterday, I was talking to somebody who's part of a cult. I have no idea what he was talking about. And then I actually had to talk to him afterwards. And, I sent him a message. Listen, can you just send me some write-ups or something that I can study more? Because otherwise I would not be able to sleep. Because what does this really mean? You know,
Wow, that's
Ye-
fascinating.
yeah, it is. Like, so when we started Tickle.live, it was just supposed to be like a place where, people talk about different genders, about what do they like, what they do not like, their frustration. But what is it become right now? And like, like I'm interviewing you, which is into movies, which was never even a part of it. Is like it's so fast, and it's like it's about fluidity. You can't expect that we will just follow a single way, and it just becomes a part of life. And there are so many other things which are attached to it. So I do get what you're talking about, and that is the reason why I'm smiling. And I really
It's
can't
so
wait to
great.
go. Yeah, and I
It's
can't.
so
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's definitely people that don't connect to it at all, right? And then you just have to stop and you got to remind yourself that's okay because it's not for everybody. But there's a lot of people that that find that it resonates with them. There was a festival in North Carolina where some guy came up to me and he said, like, I lived this life in Atlanta. I was seeing this guy, and it turned out that like he was some sort of like drug deal, blah blah blah, and like and then it was playing in the festival in Cincinnati, and some guy
Yeah.
was like, I had to leave during the movie and like the because this was like a life that I lived, and you're just like, wow, that's two completely different places. The
Yeah.
Midwest and Atlanta, which is a big city on the East Coast, and people have these same experience that relates to it, and you just go, I'm not the only person that's lived this life, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean,
There are a lot of people, and then you just find, and then you're just like, how did that happen? How is this person living my life? And my life which I was not even ready to tell anybody else about, and this person is telling me about it. Like, what's happening?
so
Right?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's great.
yeah, it was actually funny. So when I started, so just started meeting a lot of people over coffee, and I was really traveling across the world. So you meet people, call them for coffee, and try to understand what they're talking about. And initially I could not comprehend what they were talking about, you know uh, and it just like was so hard that
Right.
I actually got sick for a while, because I just could not figure out, like, how will I put it in my life? Would I be doing it? Would I not be doing it? you know because that's a like human nature. If even if you watch a movie, you try to see that, okay, can you be the protagonist? What would you do when you're here? And sometimes when you do not relate, you just do not relate. And that was what was happening. And I was trying to relate to it. But then I just realized that it's about fluidity. I am not that person. What I am, I have to remain that person. But I just have to
Yeah,
start understanding.
that's a huge thing too, because I do feel like that is a big step, right? Because a lot of people will not do that and they will judge. And if you remove the judgment and try and talk to somebody and understand them, all of a sudden there's a connection there that you would have,
Yeah.
right? But so many people make judgments out of fear. They'll judge the characters in the story. I mean, and maybe you should, maybe that's part of art, but like the judgment is what is based out of fear instead of trying to understand and figure and see what somebody else's life is like. That's what gets you to the next level, and not being afraid if it changes you, because that's life. Part of all of life is based on change, right? So these characters go through a crazy arc of change, and like that's for the better, even if it doesn't seem like it. I feel
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, I would love to see it, because now that like now after having like this talk, I just think I'll be able to relate more, because what is going to happen is, while I'm watching the movie, I'll be thinking about what you've said. I see some change. It's for the better. It's not for the better, you know. But
Yes.
yeah, but it's really crazy, and I just believe that sexuality is such an integral part of you, because you're not right. You never make a movie while you have to talk about, hey, I'm having the protagonist is having a glass of water. You know, that's not the emphasis, or having food, which is as important as sexuality.
Oh
So
yeah.
so even me asking this question to you, that why sexuality, and when you're talking about different facets of his life intertwined, that question actually does not make sense if you think about it.
It's so funny. That's so true. It
Yeah.
is. It's crazy, and it's like we look at it under a microscope, and I don't know. I just, to me, it's like the zooming out, and there's pressure from people and from society, and we actually have Jeffrey Marsh, who is pretty prominent on TED. Oh, not he. It's they. Jeffrey Marsh. They has done a TED talk, and they were in. We got Jeffrey to be in the film, and that character's perspective was giving our protagonist the advice of just like, be who you are, stop trying so hard, right? And which we think is like, that's incredible advice for so many people,
Yeah.
because you try to be what you think you should be, or what projection your family's put on you, like the experiences that you have when you went to Europe, or when I had coming to LA. Is like, you am I trying to be somebody that I think I should be, or stop trying so hard and just be who you are?
Yeah.
Simple advice that's hard to do, but our
Yeah.
character comes out happier for it. And if everybody heeded that advice, it'd be interesting to see what society would be like, you know?
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure it will be there for better, because you already have so many issues to take care of. Sexuality should not be one of
Oh my God, you are so right. Oh my God.
them.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure that's going to happen after a few years.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
sincerely hope so.
Yeah, like trust me, when I started, I was like, where will I find people to talk to, or people who will help, and people who will be working with us? When I come across as anybody, like I'm a cis straight person who's like, like I don't have any experiences. But the thing is, that's the interesting part. Like, a lot of people are ready to talk about it. A lot of people are there to help other people. A lot of people are actually doing 2 or 3 jobs so that they can spend time into eradicating the myths about sexuality. And
Wow.
yeah, and then you just talk to them, like how or why would you do that? Like, I personally would not do it if I'm not getting money out of it. Like you do need money to sustain. I'm not ready to like have 3 jobs if at the end of the day all I'm doing is like somebody who wants to come out and I'm just helping that person. It is important that I should be making money, or like at least be taking care of my family with it. And these guys are amazing. They've been doing it like for 20 years, 30 years. I have no idea how they do it.
It's a lot. It's
Yeah.
even just filmmaking. You're like, I don't know how much money I'm actually going to make off of making an independent film, but it's a
Yeah.
story I think is important and I really want to tell. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You still have to make a living, right? You still have to sort of support yourself, but
Absolutely. I think when something has to happen, it happens, and when you're supposed to do something, you end up doing it. Like I come from India, and tickle dot life is not something which which any Indian woman would do. You know, so but yeah, when you have to do something, yeah, like I'll tell you the funniest incident. So before I started, I wanted to talk to understand, and somebody connected me to a person who was into that calling service. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I don't know what brief was given. So I'm talking to the person, and he's asking me, how will you make money? And my thing was like, I don't plan on making money right now. Maybe let me just start, and then we will see what happens. Revenue is not that important and all. And he was like, how does that work? I was like, what? It's just like, it's content. Seriously, how does it work? And after like 20 minutes, I realized that the brief was wrong. So I said, what do you think I'm planning on doing? He said, oh, you're planning on opening a brothel. And I'm like, no, I'm not planning on opening a brothel. Yeah, because he kept on asking, how are you going to make money? And I kept on saying, it's for free. It's social work. It's for free, you know.
Wow.
And he was pretty confused that how can a woman open a brothel and give the services for free? So, so yeah, so that was an experience. And it's a funny experience actually, because I started laughing on the phone because
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, because he's like, no, you need to make money. And I was like, no, I'm okay, not making money. He said, no, you have to.
You're opening a brothel. You have to make money.
Yeah. Oh, it was fun. I need to talk to him again. It's been a while. So yeah, so this is fun. But so what next? Like you have a show coming up. Are you also planning on making other movies?
Yeah, I have a movie called Boy Makes Girl, which is in post-production now. Um, and that is centered on a character who's on the autism spectrum, who creates a lifelike artificial intelligence version of his childhood therapist.
Oh,
And he begins to talk to her, and they develop a relationship. And as she becomes more and more advanced, she surpasses his social abilities. So it's a study in artificial intelligence's place, sort of artificial intelligence's placement in our society and what it can be good and bad for, the good and bad effects it can have in our society. Um, so it's a bit of a science fiction love story, and that is being edited right now. So we shot that in June.
you're doing some amazing stuff. You're doing like stuff that I like. So
I write to what fascinates me, so it's never one topic. It's never one. I have another one called "We Could Be Heroes" that I'm trying to find money for to get funded to shoot, and it's about a gamer girl whose console gets stolen, and it's a crime comedy. It's gonna be fun. I write what is fun and exciting for me.
So what do you see in future? Do you want to remain an actor? Do you want to become like you're writing or direction, or is it just going to be like all things together?
I enjoy the acting so much. I want to do a lot. I like doing independent films that I feel makes a difference in some respect and has integrity. And so far, I've written those myself. And I enjoy writing, but I think for me, acting is just the thing that is so natural, that the more I write, the better. I think the more I can do great work as far as films, but I think acting will continue to grow, as far as opportunities for acting. As long as I
And
continue to grow myself as an actor and an artist, I think that will be the main focus.
and because now that you're writing and making movies, has it made you a better actor?
100%, because you understand what is needed, what the point of that character is, or what there's a deeper level to what a writer might be trying to say, and then having that conversation with the writer versus just thinking that they know everything and you should do what it's like a mindset of you become more of a collaborator because you've done both.
Yeah.
I think is a big thing. And also it's like, as an actor, sometimes you'll find a role and you'll be like, that's the perfect role for me. Got to I've got to have a great audition. I've got to get the role because it's perfect for me. And now I no longer think that. I think I make the roles that are perfect for me. And then I find ways to get them made, and crowdfunding is really hard and it's very low budget, but
Yeah.
we made 2 movies so far with incredibly low budgets and they look great. So
And where do you get the funds from?
we did crowdfunding. So we did Kickstarter and
Oh,
we did
Kickstarter.
Indiegogo. Yeah. For both movies.
Must have been a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. A lot.
Yeah. I'm so looking forward to like you've already sent me the iTunes, so I just need to figure out time this week or maybe after the festive season, and I'm going to have a look at the movie, and then I might send you some notes like this is what I
Sure.
got out got out of it. It'll be fun.
Ask away.
Yeah, I ask a
Whatever
lot of
you need.
questions.
I'd love to answer more questions.
Yeah, I love asking questions.
That's great.
That's what I do.
I love that.
But it was
That-
lovely meeting you, and I hope we stay in touch. And it was just not a one-off thing. We can actually try to do something if you're up for it from sexuality point of view. And since you're the writer, you can think about something interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be
actually,
amazing.
actually, I should connect you to someone as well. His name is Mike. I'll have to look at the name. Mike something. He also creates movies which are little to do with sexuality, but sexual education. He's also
Oh,
one of our
cool.
collaborator, and he's based out of Washington D.C. So maybe there would be some synergies. And what he's trying to create is he wants to create a Netflix of movies which are related to sexuality.
I would love to be connected with him.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to have a chat with him on 31st or 30th, 30th, I guess. So once I do have, I'll ask him if it is okay, and then I'll connect you to. Maybe there will be some synergies, or maybe you can also ask like where do you get the funds and all from.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And you can use this platform as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Come on. I love what you're doing. Otherwise, I would not have, connected anyone. But it's fun, and I love talking to you. And
Great.
I will be in US, I think February, to raise funds. Um, yeah,
Where'd you say you'll be?
I'll be in US, in your
Oh,
country in February, because that's the fundraising time for us.
where do you know where you'll be in the US?
I'm supposed to be in San Francisco. I'm supposed to be in New York, and I'm still working around all the other appointments, which I think I would be more clear by end of January. But I might be traveling all across US, because I might come like for 2 months or 3 months. And since like all the people are like spread across, and my favorite colleague Tanya, she's based out of LA, so I have to meet her because she was the first one.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, if
Yeah.
you're in LA, send me a message, or I might be traveling as well. I have a project that's going to be on the festival circuit pretty soon. So if
Yeah.
we might cross paths in a city. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, yeah. We should stay in touch. And now that we are on WhatsApp, so we should stay in touch.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So I'll share the interview with you before it goes up. And if something is missing, then you can just fill it up, and then we'll just share it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thank you
Okay.
so much for
Thank
taking the time
you.
to
Bye
talk to me.
bye.
All right. Bye.